right, it's the end of another year. So many movies came out, and today we are going to count down my top 5 best movies of 2019. Now keep in mind that I have not seen all the movies that came out this year, but of the ones I have seen, these are my personal favorites. So let's get this countdown started. Number 5, Captain Marvel. Wait, what? Oh, I'm sorry. That ended up on the wrong list. Let's just push that off to the side, and we'll get to that in a different video. So, where was I? Oh yeah, number 5. The real Captain Marvel, Shazam. What can I say? Shazam is exactly the kind of superhero comedy movie you expect it to be, but at the same time, this movie really takes you off guard with a couple of horror sequences, and they are practically knocking at the door of an R rating. The jokes are funny, the characters are great and memorable, the title hero is very likable, and the family dynamic is downright precious. What's great is that this movie could have been completely disposable if it was just a straightforward comedy with no emotional depth, but it ended up being very heartwarming, and it actually let the emotional scenes really sit with you. And they weren't interrupted with an out-of-place joke. All these things and more is what ultimately gave Shazam a spot on this top 5 list. Number 4. Knives Out. Yeah, I do notice how ironic this is. Look, I really get pissed off at the very thought of The Last Jedi, but I have to put my biases aside and do my job, and Knives Out was a very well made movie. It's a whodunit mystery type of film, and it has this great cast who are all suspects of this murder mystery, and although I did have a couple problems with this movie, I had an absolute blast with it. Aside from the very good filmmaking, what took me by surprise was that despite having so many characters, I actually remembered a lot of them, and most of them got a lot of memorable moments in the film. A couple of the characters were just standing there doing nothing, but the movie did a good job of incorporating most of the characters into the mystery, and it was a lot of fun. The comedy in this movie was also very effective, especially when it came from Chris Evans. If you gave this dialogue to any other character, it would be so generic. But coming from Captain America, this generic dialogue becomes magical. One quite big problem to me about this movie though is that I figured out who committed the murder quite early on, so that took some of the fun out of it for me. But still, I had a really good time watching this movie. Good job, Rian Johnson. So long as you stay away from Star Wars, you can actually make a pretty good movie. Let's keep it that way. Number 3. Alita Battle Angel. This is a movie that looked so boring going by the trailers, but it ended up being great. It is also the best movie adaptation of an anime property I have ever seen. The special effects in this movie are also amazing. Alita is a completely computer-generated character, and the final result is not only impressive, but it also seamlessly blends in with the real actors. And the world building in this movie was also a sight to behold. A funny memory I have about this movie is that before me and my brothers went to see it, I took out my phone and showed my mum the trailer so she knew what movie we were going to see. And as she was watching it, this happened.
This looks like a game.
Tonight is not a game.
And we couldn't stop laughing. And the look on my mum's face. Talk about timing. That was absolutely perfect. But yeah, this was a great movie. The story was great, the action was great, and the characters were fantastic. Especially Alita and her father. The romance was not that interesting, but watching Alita go through these life experiences was. So it's not like these scenes had nothing going for them, and it all did lead to something in the end, so it's not a huge complaint. I just really hope that we get a sequel to this. James Cameron said that he's gonna make sure that it happens, and if it does, I can't wait. Number 2. Avengers Endgame. It took 10 years of build-up and it led to one hell of a payoff. Avengers Endgame is a great concluding chapter to a decade of movies, and it was put in the hands of very capable directors who know how to juggle multiple superheroes in one movie. This is a kind of movie experience that we have experienced only once, and I don't know if we will ever experience it like this ever again. Now I have quite a few issues with this movie, but my main problem is that after watching it the second time, I can't be bothered sitting through the whole 3 hours anymore. What I usually find myself doing now is skipping to the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie and rewatching that on my projector. So I feel like rewatch value with Endgame is actually pretty low. But those first couple of times I did watch the whole movie and I was very satisfied. But there is one movie that I can watch over and over again and not get bored of, and that movie is Joker. I am at a loss for words whenever I talk about Joker, because as soon as I think of it, I am immediately bombarded with so much positive opinions that I don't know where to start. I guess logically we should first talk about Joaquin Phoenix's performance. It is the best performance I've seen since Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Yeah, I would go that far, because I have seen a lot of performances, but very rarely have I seen a performance like this, where you should honestly be repelled by this character, but you just feel entranced by him. He's in the entire movie, and you are just constantly glued to the screen watching this guy slowly ascend to madness. And Joaquin Phoenix's performance is so captivating. And as well as being an origin story for Joker, this is also an origin story for Gotham. Gotham is a total wreck and is on the verge of snapping, and it truly snaps and becomes the Gotham we all know and love as a result of Arthur Fleck snapping and becoming the Joker. That's poetic right there. When the greatest Batman villain is born, that's when the chaotic shithole that is Gotham is born. The directing is also amazing, with excellent pacing, top-notch camera work, a great visual style, and an R rating to boot, which really helped take this movie to new heights of disturbing storytelling that you will not find in a PG-13 comic book movie. And that final twist made Joker one of the most memorable and thought-provoking movies I have seen in a long time. Again, since The Dark Knight. And to this day, I am still coming up with new theories and noticing different details throughout the film. I have seen the movie twice now, and I intend to watch it many times more. Like everyone else, I had very little faith in this movie when it was first announced, but it took me and many others by surprise, and it has now become one of my most favorite movies of all time. And that's why Joker is my #1 best movie of 2019.
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed, but I do. And people are starting to notice.
They sure have, Arthur. They sure have. Now, for those of you who are trying to guess my top 5 list, I'm sure you're wondering why Godzilla King of the Monsters didn't make the cut. Look, it was really close. If I made a top 10 movie of 2019, then King of the Monsters definitely would have made the list. But the reason it didn't in the end is because the story and characters weren't great. I mean, the characters were good, but they didn't elevate the movie enough. And besides the actors that played them, they were not particularly memorable. So, that's my top 5 best movies of 2019. Stay tuned as I have my top 5 worst movies of 2019 coming up very soon. In the meantime, comment below and let me know what your top 5 movies of 2019 are. Also, feel free to guess what you think my top 5 worst movies of 2019 are, and we'll see how close you were. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Oh, and don't forget, to give additional support to the channel, you can donate $1 a month to my Patreon, and in doing this, you will gain access to podcasts and additional reviews of movies that are exclusive to patrons. And I will catch all of you very soon. Take care.